Hey YouTube, welcome to the final day of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set reviews. We're going to talk about all the green cards today, which will finish up all of the set review. Tomorrow, February 10th, I will probably put up a video pretty early of my first draft of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. See how that goes. And yeah, you can find all the usual Kamigawa Neon Dynasty stuff going forward. Spiky Saturday will be back full blast every week with a new set. History of Draft will continue on Wednesdays, and I'll probably try to get some more of those quick recaps going again. But let's get started with the green set review, starting with Azusa's Many Journeys. Azusa's Many Journeys is 1 and a green for an enchantment saga at uncommon. You may play an additional land this turn. You gain 3 life. Exile the saga, then return to the battlefield transformed. Under your control, we've got ourselves Likeness of the Seeker, which is a 3/3 enchantment creature human monk. Whenever Likeness of the Seeker becomes blocked, untap up to 3 lands you control. So 2 mana, you can play an extra land, for sure. Significantly better early in the game, and very random as to whether or not you can actually do that. Gain 3 life, sure. 3/3, if they block it, you don't even get to ramp 3, but you do get a 3 mana discount if you've already used that 3 mana. This all seems okay. I think it'll fill the role of being an enchantment that does some things that are pretty decent for your green-white enchantment deck. This is all okay. I think it's in the 5th, 6th pick range. It's not blowing my mind, but I think it's good. Up next is Bamboo Grove Archer. Bamboo Grove Archer is 1 and a green for an enchantment creature, Snake Archer at common. It's a 3/3 with Defender and Reach for 2 mana. Channel, 4 and a green. Discard it, destroy target creature with flying. Cool. I like this. It's not crazy. We're still talking like 8th-ish pick, maybe even wheel. But this is a great... I know they have a flyer, so here is my... flyer hate. It won't attack because it has Defender. Or are we talking about... Oh, we're talking about this one. It's got Reach, so it's going to do a decent like giant spider impersonation, although it doesn't block quite as well, but it does kill better than a giant spider would. I think this card is all around fine, versatile card. You're going to play this a little bit more than I think you might think. Still not going super high on it. We're still looking like 8th-ish pick, but I like everything that this card is doing. It is all good at what you want to do with a card like this. Don't pick it highly. Don't pick it highly. Up next is Bearer of Memory. Bearer of Memory is 2 and a green for an enchantment creature, human monk at common. It's 3/2. Pay 5 and a green. Put a +1/+1 counter on target enchantment creature. Gains trample until end of turn. Okay. I could see this doing some work too. 3/2 for 3 is okay, but then late game, you're just spitting counters everywhere. You're probably never double activating this, but even single activating this is going to be growing itself or something else. It's going to be modifying creatures in one of the colors that most cares about modifying. It's going to give that creature trample for that turn. I think this card's quite decent. Honestly, slightly surprised it's a common. 6 mana is a lot. It is only a 3/2. It's probably fine as a common. But I think this card's good. I'm going to put this in the 6th through 8th pick range, and I can see myself playing this a fair bit. Up next is Blossom Prancer. Blossom Prancer is 3 green for a creature spirited on common. It's a 4/4 with Reach, because its tree antlers are so big. When Blossom Prancer enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't get a card in your hand this way, gain 4 life. 5 mana 4/4 Reach. Gain 4. Not good, not bad. But maybe creature or enchantment. Probably we hit a creature or enchantment. So it's a 4/4 for 5 with Reach that probably draws a relevant card. Seems good. This seems good. All about it. All about this. Let's 4th, 5th pick this one as well. I think it's pretty decent. Surprised it's not an enchantment. It looks like I don't know. I guess I don't know what an enchantment creature is anymore because she's an enchantment, apparently. Anyways, up next is Boon of Boselju. Boselju. 1 and a green for an instant at uncommon. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Untap it. Exceptionally variable combat trick here. Doesn't give trample or anything. Does untap. Pretty filler. Pretty filler. Like, it doesn't really matter how much this is giving, because realistically, it's going to be giving 2 to 5. Right? We're very unlikely that this is going to be +6 or +7 or +8 or +9. If it's +1 or +2, you've done something wrong. It's an okay combat trick that I think you should wheel, and if you have a spot for it, okay. Up next is Boselju reaches Skyward. Boselju reaches Skyward is 3 and a green for an enchantment saga at uncommon. Step 1, search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Step 2, put up to 1 target land card from your graveyard on top of your library. Step 3, exile this saga. Comes back as Branch of Boselju, a 0/0 enchantment creature plant with reach, and it's got +1/+1 for each land you control. So it's probably going to be, at a bare minimum, a 6/6. 5/5. Because you would have 4. You've got 2 lands in hand. Next turn you put down your 5th. No, it'd be a 6/6. It would be a 6/6 on flip. Okay, I don't know that I'm ever putting a land on top of my library. Like, A, there would have to be a land in my graveyard, which on turn 4, I'm not entirely likely to have that. And B, turn 5+, I mean, I guess you're going to know through and through whether or not you want that land on top. Hopefully you don't. I think this is fine. I think this is all fine. It's 4 mana. It's going to thin your deck a little bit, which doesn't matter too much, but it's going to guarantee that your tree is a 6/6. You're getting a 6/6 for 5. There are channel lands, but they're rare. We can't really do corner cases on rares, right? Yeah, I like this card. I think it's okay. I think it is a relatively vanilla large creature, but it's a large creature for 4 mana. I will pick this like 5th-ish, 6th-ish, I think, around there. The slight problem is it doesn't do much for the first 2 turns. You're playing a suspend 6/6 for 4, right? But I think that's fine. Up next is Careful Cultivation. Careful Cultivation is 2 and a green for an enchantment aura at common. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+3 and has reach, and tap to add green. Channel, 1 and a green, discard it. Make a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap, add green. So we've got ourselves a 2 mana Llanowar Elf, which is not that exciting. Or we've got 3 mana +1/+3, whatever you call green mana dork. I mean, if you're ramping, here's a way to ramp, but I think you need to be ramping. I'm not putting this in much else. There's better things to modify with, I think. Yeah, I need to be ramping. As long as I'm ramping, cool. I'll put one of these in, especially because I'm going to get like a modification. Collateral damage is all I can think of, incidentally, by playing this as well. But if I'm not ramping, if I'm capping out at like a few 5 or like a couple of 5 drops or something, I think I can find a better way to modify stuff. But yeah, if you're ramping, have at it. At worst, it's a 2 mana dork, which is pretty bad. Llanowar Elves has not been good for a long time, so 2 mana Llanowar Elves is not doing much better. Up next is Coiling Stalker. Coiling Stalker is 1 and a green for a creature Snake Ninja at common. It's a 2/1 with ninjutsu, 1 and a green. Whenever Coiling Stalker deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control that doesn't have a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. So it's a 2/1 for 2 that probably becomes a 3/2, whether you ninjutsu'd it or just got in with it. And then you still need to keep getting in with it in order to keep putting counters on other things. But it's a good way to get counters on things. And it's fairly costed. I like it. It's like, it's slightly above the bottom rung of, red-green modification enabler. It's not super in the really, really good rung, but I'm totally going to play it. Yeah, most of the colors have like one ninjutsu, whereas blue-black has a bunch of them. So this is on like a 6th through 8th pick. I'm fine with this. Seems okay. Up next is Commune with Spirits. Commune with Spirits is a single green mana for a sorcery at common. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. No thanks. No thanks. What was this called? This was Commune with something, right? In another set? Commune with dinosaurs. Yeah. Commune with the gods. Yeah. This is part of the Commune theme. I don't like it. I don't want to pay 1 mana to maybe find a land or an enchantment or maybe miss. No thanks. No interest. Same with like Adventurer's Impulse and stuff like that. Not playing this. F for me. Up next is the Dragon Kami Reborn. The Dragon Kami Reborn is 2 and a green for an enchantment saga at rare. You gain 2 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down with a hatching counter on it. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order for step 1 and step 2. Okay. Turns into a Dragon Kami's Egg. It's an 0/1 enchantment creature egg. Whenever Dragon Kami's Egg or a dragon you control dies, you may cast a creature spell from among cards you own in exile with hatching counters on them without paying its mana cost. So unless you've luck-sacked into multiple mythic dragons, you're not getting both of these cards. You're getting one. I don't think we've seen any other dragons. I guess there's the rare white one. Yeah, you're not getting both of these cards. You're getting one when the Dragon Kami's Egg dies, which your opponent is going to let you do, I suppose, because you have to chump block for this to die. I guess you could modify it. This is a lot of steps to get through. And if you don't get there, like you exile something really good and then you just don't ever get this thing to die. I don't think I like this. I don't think I like this. Because I think you have to modify this egg in order to, like, reasonably get it to die in a reasonable amount of time. I'll have to play with this. I'll have to see this played, but it feels like a lot of hoops to jump through. So, it is some sack fodder, but in the wrong colors. All the sacrifice stuff is in red-black. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll see how it plays out. I'll try first picking it to give it a shot early on, but I feel like this is too many hoops, and you maybe just shouldn't play it. And then suddenly you draft a mythic dragon with it, and why the hell not? Yeah, hard card to actually grade without actually playing it. But let's go first pick, because I will be first picking it to try it. Up next is Fade into Antiquity, 2 and a green for a sorcery. At common, exile target artifact or enchantment. Pretty good. Unfortunate that we can't get Return to Nature, especially when there is a faction all about returning to nature. But I figure they wanted sorcery speed, artifact, and enchantment hate instead of instant speed. You'll main deck this. There's enough artifact and enchantment hits, and a lot of them are creatures. you can definitely main deck this, and you should probably pick this way higher than you normally would. Don't go nuts on this. I know whenever there's an enchantment set or whenever there's an artifact set, people are like, oh, naturalize, second pick. No, it will very technically always have a target, usually, but that doesn't mean the target's good or worth it. I'm still going to like 6th pick this, but that is significantly higher than you normally would. And you're going to main deck this card in this format. So don't go nuts on this, but definitely rate it higher than I otherwise would have in most other sets. Up next is Fang of Shigeki. Fang of Shigeki. Shigeki is single green mana for a 1/1 enchantment creature snake ninja. At common, it's got Death Touch. Hello, Sedge Scorpion. I love Sedge Scorpion. I love Typhoid Rats. Give me 1/1 Death Touchers for 1. I don't want 2/2 Death Touchers for 2 or 3 mana. There's no need for them to be 2 power. They just need to be 1 power. Like this card. I will pick this pretty highly in the 6th through 8th range. I will play way more of these than I ever should. Presumably we're going to see a fight card or 2, and that's going to be where I want to play this. Up next is Favor of Jukai. Favor of Jukai is 3 and a green for an enchantment aura at common. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +3/+3 and has reach. Channel, 1 and a green. Discard Favor of Jukai. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains reach until end of turn. There's better ways to modify. Like, +3/+3 is a lot. Reach is cool. I don't want to modify with auras. I want to modify with counters. It helps out with enchantments. I don't want to play auras. I don't like auras. Okay, I don't like auras. They're bad. They've always been bad. I hope they'll still be bad. I'm not going to play this aura unless I have to, and I'm desperate for some modifications. So, heavy wheeled. Heavy wheel. Up next, I think the photo app sometimes gets confused when I have a large number of photos because it thinks that I've reached the end, but I've definitely not reached the end. There we go. Up next is Generous Visitor. Generous Visitor is a single green mana for a creature spirit at uncommon. It's a 1/1. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Are you playing green-white enchantments? You want this card. You really want this card. Totem armor auras aren't bad. Sure. Yeah, this card is going to be an absolute role player in the enchantment heavy decks. If you are an enchantment heavy deck, you are desperately looking for this card. I would pick this card relatively early and try to get into the enchantment heavy decks. If you whiff, maybe don't put it in. You want to have a lot of enchantments to play this card. You don't want to be stuck playing a 1/1 for 1 and like triggering it once. So make sure you're playing a lot of enchantments, but if you are, this card should be a huge role player for you. So like 3rd, 4th pick, I think, and build around it. Know when to abandon it, though. Up next is Geothermal Kami. Geothermal Kami is 3 and a green for a creature spirit at common. It's a 4/3. When Geothermal Kami enters the battlefield, you may return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand. If you do, you gain 3 life. 4 mana, 4/3. Bounce an enchantment. Gain 3 life. It's not doing much. Like, I get to re-trigger the 1st or 2nd step of my saga. I haven't really seen many 1st or 2nd steps of sagas that I've been nuts about. What else do I get to do? I did say I wanted a vanilla creature, it's true. Bouncing the Impale aura, I guess. I don't know. This is pretty basic. This is very filler. I think you can wheel this, and I don't think you're going out of your way to get your hands on this. Up next is Goshintai of Boundless Vigor. Goshintai of Boundless Vigor is 1 and a green for a legendary enchantment creature shrine at uncommon. It's a 1/1 with trample. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target shrine for each shrine you control. This one's pretty okay too. I didn't like the white, blue, black ones. I liked the red one. This one's really slow. Sure, it's good on 2. Well, is it even good on 2? Because on 2, you're not paying 1. And you're probably not paying 1 on turn 3. It's going to be a long time before you start paying 1. This sucks until it's like... This definitely sucks until it's a 2-2. And it kind of sucks until it's a 3-3 or higher. It's a terrible top deck. Unless you're incredibly stable. And you have a billion more turns. I think there's too much best case scenario mentality in my mind on this. I don't think it's that good like most of the other shrines. The base version sucks. At least the red one was a 2-2 first striker for 3. We could modify this ourselves, I suppose. And then start putting counters on it. And if you do get a second shrine, that's kind of cute. But we'll see. I agree. I think it might just be too slow, and I think it's a terrible top deck. So let's start out on a 6th through 8th pick, maybe even the wheel. People are obviously going to go nuts for the shrines. People always go nuts for the shrines. People should not go nuts for the shrines. I can't stop you. I don't have the legal authority to do so yet. Up next is Grafted Growth. Grafted Growth is 2 and a green for an enchantment aura at common. Enchant land when Grafted Growth enters the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Enchanted land has tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Cool. Are you fixing? Here you go. Are you ramping? Here you go. Are you not? Maybe don't play it. You can probably find better ways to modify. So you'll know when you want this. And it's not going to be in pack 1, or at least not too high in pack 1. So pack 1, we're talking 8th-ish wheel. Pack 2, pack 3, you're going to know if you want to pick this high. Up next is Greater Tanuki. Greater Tanuki is 4 green for an enchantment creature dog at common. It's a 6/5 trample. Channel 2 and a green. Discard Greater Tanuki. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it into the battlefield. Tapped, then shuffle. This is good. This is good. This is nigh on. It's a strange looking dog. It's a raccoon dog, technically. And you can't see it, but since it's a Tanuki, it's got giant balls. That's a very stated point of what Tanukis are and what Tanukis have. And yeah, they're raccoon dogs. This is a Dreadmaw with 1 less toughness. And if you're mana screwed, it can help you not be mana screwed. Or it can fix you. I like this card a lot. And it's an enchantment. And if you modify it, it's got trample naturally. I really like this card. I really like this card. Like, we're talking 6th through 8th pick, but I like this card. The versatility is there. The power is there. 6th through 8th pick. I might even 4th, 5th pick this, depending on how the format shakes out. Don't. Actually, load up on them. Load up on them. Normally, you wouldn't load up on a 6/5 trample for 6, but your first one is not a 6/5 trample for 6. Your first one is 3 mana rampant growth. Your next 2 are 6/5s for 6. I like this. I like this a lot. 6th pick, we'll start with Greater Tanuki. Up next is Harmonious Emergence. Harmonious Emergence is 3 and a green for an enchantment aura at common. Enchant land you control. Enchanted land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste. It's still a land. If enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice Harmonious Emergence, and that land gains indestructible until end of turn. So it's totem armor essentially. 4/5 is big, so this is a 4/5 for 4. It's a relatively vanilla 4/5 for not even, I was going to say 5 because you're spending a land, but no, the land has vigilance. This one's pretty okay. I didn't like the red one too much, but this one's big. It's got vigilance. I like this one a bit more. Not a ton. We're still talking like 7th, 8th pick here, but it's much better than the red one, yeah. It's just big. So let's go 7th, 8th pick. I'm a fan. Up next is Heir of the Ancient Fang. Heir of the Ancient Fang is 2 and a green for a creature snake samurai at Commune. It's a 2/3. Heir of the Ancient Fang enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you control a modified creature. I feel like it might be a little bit tricky to get this to be a 3/4 for 3 on turn 3, but that just means that it's a 3/4 for 3 when you top deck it later in the game. This is probably the like meat and potatoes, makes the modified deck kind of stick together a little bit. Not quite worst case scenario for the modified deck, but you know, not the high power stuff either. We're talking 6th through 8th, maybe even wheel. Don't feel ashamed playing it. Don't go out of your way to get it into your deck, though. Up next is Historian's Wisdom. Historian's Wisdom is 2 and a green for an enchantment aura at uncommon. Enchant artifact or creature. When Historian's Wisdom enters the battlefield, if enchanted permanent is a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, draw a card. Okay. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+1, so that will help it be the greatest power. This reminds me of Citizen Training. Sort of. No, that's not a card that exists. There was a card in Theros that was +1/+0 and trample and draw a card, and it was really good in an Enchantment Matters set. This one, just make sure you put this on your biggest creature, and the fact that that creature is going to be +2/+1 will help. And you get to draw a card, which means that you're not as in danger for getting 2 for 1 by playing this because it replaces itself. If you are not casting this on your largest creature, you got a lot to learn because you need to draw the card. If you're not drawing a card off of this, it's not good enough. It's not a good card. But if you are drawing that card, I think it's pretty decent. Still, we're talking like 6th pick range, 7th pick range. It's not super high up, but I will play this card. Up next is Invoke the Ancients. Invoke the Ancients is 1 green for a sorcery at rare. Create 2 4/5 green spirit creature tokens. For each of them, put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter on it. 5 mana, 8/9 worth of power. And they have vigilance, reach, or trample. And you can make them different if you want. Obviously, as with all of these, you have to be green. Not 8 forests, not 9 forests. We're talking 10, 11 forests, 12 maybe. You want a lot of green sources. Dual lands will help that. If you have a lot of green sources, it's a hell of a lot of power and toughness for 5 mana with some keywords. I will first pick this and try to get into green. Note, if you have less than 10-ish green sources, maybe think about not playing this. Up next is Jugan Defends the Temple. Jugan Defends the Temple is 2 and a green for an enchantment saga at Mythic. Step 1, make a 1/1 green human creature monk. Create a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap, add a green. Step 2, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. These are good steps. Then you get a 2/2 enchantment creature dragon spirit with flying. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. We've seen that effect before. It's very good. As long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, Remnant of the Rising Star gets +5/+5 and has trample. Easy first pick. Every single thing about this card is off the charts good. Bonkers, busted, very good card here. Very good. Very good. This is so many cards in one. I'm all about it. You're never not first picking this card. Up next is Jukai Preserver. Jukai Preserver is 3 and a green for an enchantment creature human druid at common. It's a 3/3. When Jukai Preserver enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Channel 2 and a green, discard Jukai Preserver, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. Okay. 4 mana 3/3 with a counter is okay. 4 mana 4/4, because she can just take the counter, is good. And instant speed, 2 counters on 2 things is pretty good. This is all a totally fine card that is just above filler. We're talking 6th, 7th, 8th pick. You'll play it. You will not feel bad about it. You'll not feel especially good about it. And it'll be good. It'll be fine. It'll do what it needs to do. 6th through 8th pick. It's an enchantment. It's got stuff going on. Up next is a Jukai Trainee. Jukai Trainee is 1 and a green for a creature human samurai at common. It's a 2/2. Whenever Jukai Trainee blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Did this card like accidentally fall out of Ixalan or something? It feels very outdated. It's Bushido? Oh yeah, it is Bushido. It feels very outdated for some reason in this set. That's interesting. So yeah, it's a 2/2 for 2 that is often going to be a 3/3. That's all okay. And you can modify it, and maybe it'll be a little bit bigger. +1/+1 Bushido can definitely mess things up. That said, it's a pretty dang low pick. This is a very filler card, like 7th, 8th pick. I'm not going out of my way to get this into my deck. If I've got a spot for it and I just don't have better cards than this, cool. I'm not going to feel bad about it, but I'm not going to feel good about it. Up next is Kami of Transience? Omniscience. Transience. Kami of Transience is 1 and a green for a creature spirit at rare. It's a 2/2 with trample. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. At the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return Kami of Transience from your graveyard to your hand. So 2/2 for 2, meh. I'm in an enchantment deck. 3/3 for 2 trample, cool. 4/4 awesome. 5/5 hell yeah. 6/6 we built our own Dreadmaw. If it's died and another enchantment dies, bring it back to my hand. Cool. This is all good. This is not a bomb. It takes a lot for this to get going crazy, but, you know, I think realistically second pick this. Obviously, new set rare shine will make people first pick it a lot. I think you probably should take super duper unconditional removal over this, just because it takes some time to get going and it has to be in an enchantment deck. But I think it's reasonable to take it first. So pick it highly. It's a very good card. We're just quibbling between first and second pick, really. Up next is Kappa Tech-Wrecker. Kappa Tech-Wrecker is 1 and a green for a creature turtle ninja. At uncommon, it's a 1/3 with ninjutsu, 1 and a green. Kappa Tech-Wrecker enters the battlefield with a death touch counter on it. Whenever Kappa Tech-Wrecker deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a death touch counter from it. When you do, exile target artifact or enchantment that player controls. So 2 mana 1/3 death touch. Sure. As I said, I prefer 1/1 death touch versus for 1. But if we hit with it, which we could with ninjutsu for sure, then we can rip the death touch counter off, meaning we're left with a deeply mediocre creature to kill an enchantment or artifact. It's all okay. I just don't know if it's like good. It's all okay. This is probably in, I would imagine, the fifth pick range, fifth, sixth. Um, I just hate the 1/3 that I'm left with afterwards. It's better than nothing, I guess, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll go fifth, sixth pick, I suppose. I would prefer just the 1/3 death touch as well. Most of the artifacts and enchantments are creatures, so all of my normal removal works on it. And then we do have some other artifact and enchantment removal. So I don't know that I desperately need to be like, whew, let's get in with an untapped or an unblocked creature, and then let's cast this one, and let's take the death touch off of it, and whew, there we go. We killed their creature that we could kill in any other way as well. It's nice to have the versatility. I just don't want to overrate this card. But let's start like fifth, sixth on it, I suppose. The legendary lands are rare, yes. Up next is Kodama of the West Tree. Kodama of the West Tree is 2 and a green for a legendary creature shaman at Mythic. It's a 3/3 with reach. Modified creatures have trample. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Cool. 3/3 for 3 with reach, sure. My modified creatures, which are typically going to be modified to have higher power, now have trample. Awesome. And whenever they hit, I get to ramp. This is all good. This is not a bomb. This is not instantly winning you the game. This is not winning you the game very, very quickly, but it is a large amount of value, and you will first pick it out of every pack, I would assume. Up next is Kura of the Boundless Sky. 3 green for a legendary creature dragon spirit at Mythic. It's 4/4 flying death touch. When Kura, the Boundless Sky, dies, choose one. Search your library for up to 3 land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Create an XX green spirit creature token where X is the number of lands you control. All right, so we're probably choosing the second one a lot of the time. Card's great. 5 mana, 4/4 flyer in green is not something you often get. The death touch is nigh on meaningless. And yeah, you get to replace this with possibly a bigger creature that maybe doesn't fly. Seems good. You will snap first pick this. It's going to be great. Up next is March of Burgeoning Life. March of Burgeoning Life is X and a green for an instant at rare. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of green cards from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Choose target creature with mana value less than X. Search your library for a creature card with the same name as that creature. Put it in the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. No. Oh, that card's bad. That card's a hard F. No, not unlimited. Not unlimited. You're lucky to get a second copy of the same common, let alone the second copy of a really good uncommon or the second copy of let alone a rare. This card is bad. F for March of Burgeoning Life. Up next is Master's Rebuke. Master's Rebuke is 1 and a green for an instant at common. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. It's our usual fight or bite spell in this case. Love it. Pick it highly. We're talking 5th-ish pick. This is going to be great. It's going to be amazing with the 1/1 death touchers that we have. This will be green's best common. Fight me on it, I dare you. Yeah, 5th pick for Master's Rebuke. I love it. Up next is Orochi Merge-Keeper. Orochi Merge-Keeper is 1 and a green for a creature snake druid at uncommon. It's a 1/1. Tap to add a green. As long as Orochi Merge-Keeper is modified, it has tap, add green. 2 mana dork, not the best. Not as a 1/1 anyways. I'd prefer a 1/3. We often get 1/3 mana dorks for 2. But if you modify this one, you're going to get extra green. So yeah, you want to ramp? Here's a way to ramp. Enjoy. Modify it if you can so that you can ramp even harder. Make sure you have something to ramp to. Like, don't play this in your deck that caps out at 4 drops. You don't need this. Play better creatures. But presumably you're going to want to ramp in green. We'll pick this pretty highly, like 4th, 5th pick, I would say, because I do really like ramp quite a bit. Up next is Roaring Earth. Roaring Earth is 1 and a green for an enchantment at uncommon. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Nice. Channel X green, discard Roaring Earth, put X +1/+1 counters on target land you control. It becomes a 0/0 green spirit creature with haste. It's still a land. This is a pretty good enchantment. If you cast it, this is the great thing about Channel. Play this on turn 2. Yes, it's a do-nothing enchantment, but presumably, hopefully, you're going to continue to play lands. And now you're throwing counters left, right, and center. You're modifying a bunch of things. You're really ramping up one thing. And then if you top deck this late in the game, normally it would be a terrible card late in the game. But it's not. You just pay X green, and you make a gigantic land. This card's good. I like this card a fair bit. We're talking 4th pick, 3rd, 4th pick. I think this card's really good due to that versatility of it's great on turn 2 and it's great on turn 12. Up next is Season of Renewal. Season of Renewal is 2 and a green for an instant at common. Choose one or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. I hate these cards unless they're instant speed. This one's instant speed. This will be better. Yeah. My usual thing with returning stuff from graveyard to hand is I want it to be instant speed, and or I want it to be cheap, and or I want it to return multiple things. This is instant speed. It's not cheap, unfortunately. But we might be able to get 2. I'm in. I will play this card more than I would play a sorcery speed version or something like that. So still picking it pretty lowly. We're talking 6th through 8th. But I will play this card, whereas often similar cards I will not play. Up next is Shigeki, Jukai Visionary. Shigeki is 1 and a green for a legendary enchantment creature Snake Druid at rare. It's a 1/3. Pay 1 and a green, tap, return Shigeki, Jukai Visionary to its owner's hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped, put the rest into your graveyard. We can channel it, perhaps because we've returned it to our hand. XX green, discard it. Return X non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. What? 1/3 for 2. Meh. Pay 1 and a green. Probably get a land. Throw a bunch of stuff away. Do that a few times, and then pay a whole bunch of mana to get all that stuff back. This feels like a lot of steps. I see what you're supposed to do, but it feels like a lot of steps. Because even when you've refilled your hand, and you're going to have to pay like let's say we want to draw 3 cards, we're paying 8 mana to draw those 3 cards. That's a lot of mana. I think this is way too slow. I think it's like, what if we look at this as it's a 1/3 for 2 that late in the game we pay like 4 mana to regrow at instant speed. I still don't want to do that. I still don't really want to do that after thinking it through. I think this is too slow. I suspect it's a little bit more like Commandery or some crap like that. I will 6th through 8th pick this. It's a rare. That means I'll never see it. Up next is Spinning Wheel Kick. Spinning Wheel Kick is XX green for a sorcery at uncommon. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. So, unfortunately, extremely expensive sorcery speed bite 1 creature for 4 mana. 6 mana to bite 2 creatures. I'll pay it. 8 mana to bite 3? I don't know if we're biting 3. 10 mana to bite 4? I don't think we're ever biting 4. I think this card is worse than it looks, and I'll still pick it and play it. Like, I'll still pick it and play it, and I'll plan to try to bite 2 things for 6 mana. Very blowoutable, as all fight spells are. Yeah, your opponent just removes the creature and you spent your turn. I think this card is worse than it looks. I think a lot of people are going to be like, ooh, second pick. I'm gonna fight 6 things, paying 14 mana to do so. But I think it is still fine. I think it is still playable. I'll still pick it. I will pick this, I think, lower than Master's Rebuke. I think just a little bit lower than Master's Rebuke. I will pick Spinning Wheel Kick. So we're going to say like 5th, 6th pick for Spinning Wheel Kick. Be careful. Pick your time to do it. Make sure you're not going to get blown out. Understand that you are probably not hitting more than like 3 things. Be aware. Up next is Springleaf Avenger. Springleaf Avenger is 3 green for a creature insect ninja at common. Rare. It's a 6/5. Ninjutsu 3 and a green. Whenever Springleaf Avenger deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. 6/5 for 5. Why? And it can be ninjutsu'd for 4. And it regrows. This card's good. This card's very good. First pick it. Even if it's just a 6/5 for 5. Like, it hits once and it draws you probably a hyper-relevant card. Card's very good. Snap first pick. Up next is Storyweave. Storyweave is 2 and a green for an instant at uncommon. Choose one. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Put 2 lore counters on target saga you control. The next time 1 or more enchantment creatures enter the battlefield under your control this turn, each enters with 2 additional +1/+1 counters. The reason for all of that text is because if you flip a saga, it will exile, enter the battlefield, and get 2 counters. This is a cool little combat trick. Instant speed, get a couple of counters is a combat trick that I tend to enjoy. It's instant speed, surprise modify. There's a lot going on in this. I think it's a very decent combat trick. It even like it's surprise. It kind of makes a flash creature out of your sagas. There's a lot going on in this. I think it's really good. I think like you don't pick this and go, aha, I will now get all of the sagas, because you might just not get all the sagas. You might not get enough sagas at all. So I'm not picking this super highly to start. I'm picking this like 6th pick maybe, but then pack 2, pack 3, when I'm already on this train, I'm going to pick this much higher, and this is going to be a reward for being in that deck. Up next is Tales of Master Seshiro. Tales of Master Seshiro is 4 and a green for an enchantment saga at common. Step 1, step 2, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, target creature or vehicle. If you control, it gains vigilance until end of turn. That's a lot of mana for a counter, and then another counter. What do we get? We get a 5/5 vigilance haste. Okay, this is filler, bottom rung, green-white enchantment thing. Like, you want enchantments, you want a creature, you need a 23rd card, here you go. It'll help you modify stuff too. But it's not amazing. Ideally, you just find 23 better cards than this one. But it's also not unplayable. But Plan A should not be playing this card. This is a Plan B card. Up next is Tamio's Safekeeping. Tamio's Safekeeping is a single green mana for an instant at common. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. You gain 2 life. Not Snakeskin Veil, tell you that much. I really like the power toughness boost. Well, the counter of Snakeskin Veil, and I like the power toughness boost of Ranger's Guile. I don't really care about gaining 2 life. This is going to be a little bit hard for me to find a spot in my deck for it. I think this is a sideboard card. We don't see sideboard cards much anymore, thanks to Best of One and Arena and WotC's continuous failings of designing limited sets well. But this, I think, is a sideboard card. Sideboard this in when you see that your opponent has a lot of like targeted effects, targeted removal, stuff like that. But you should be able to wheel this. I don't think I'm going to main deck this most of the time, and sometimes I'll side it in. Up next is Teachings of the Kirin. Teachings of the Kirin is 1 and a green for an enchantment saga at rare. Step 1, mill 3 cards. Create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Meh. Step 2, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Okay. And we get a 1/1 enchantment creature Snake Monk. Whenever Kirin touched Orochi attacks, choose one. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. When you do, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Okay. Exile target non-creature card from a graveyard. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Okay, but we're not attacking with our 1/1 on turn 4. Why is this a rare? This feels like an uncommon. Turn 5, because it doesn't have, this one doesn't have haste. I need this to be so much bigger. So much bigger than this. Like, a +1/+1 counter on this doesn't do it. I need multiple +1/+1 counters on this. I need some sort of large aura or large equipment. And then if we do that, we just have a big creature. And what do we get? We get to make a 1/1 or put a counter on something. God, I don't like that this has to be modified to be any good at all. I really don't like that. It has to be modified in a specific way. It needs to be modified more than just like a +1/+1 counter on it. I'll see how it plays, but I'm thinking this is just not impactful. I'm thinking I need so much to go right for this to start going off. Because otherwise, what? I'm getting one attack and putting a counter on something, or getting a 1/1. That's not good enough. I'll see how this plays. I'm going to start picking this probably too lowly to actually ever play it, because people will first pick it because rare. I think too much has to go right. Let's start like 4th, 5th pick. In my heart, it's lower, and in reality, it's going to be way higher to start with, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, sure, when you play this and you modify it and everything goes right, it's going to be great, but everything is great when it goes right. Fog is great when it goes right. It doesn't always go right. So let's see how often this goes right. Up next is Weaver of Harmony. Weaver of Harmony is 1 and a green for an enchantment creature Snake Druid at rare. It's a 2/2. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1. Single green mana, tap, copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for the copy. So Enchantment Lord, green-white obviously is most happily going to want this. Doesn't pump itself, which is a shame. And if you get to copy some activated or triggered abilities, that's cool. That's cool, but I think this is just a totally fine Enchantment Lord. You'll first pick it, and you'll play around it or you'll build around it for sure. Should be pretty powerful in the right deck. If you somehow just utterly whiff on enchantment creatures, maybe don't play this as anything other than a 2/2 for 2, but try to build around it. Up next is our last card of the entire set review, Webspinner Cuff. Webspinner Cuff is 2 and a green for an artifact creature and equipment spider at uncommon. It's a 1/4 with reach. Equipped creature, it's so tiny. How does it have reach? Equipped creature gets +1/+4 and has reach. Reconfigure for 4. So here's our Hitchclaw Recluse, or whatever you want to call it for the set. Your spider that will block flyers, but probably not kill them. But you can turn something else into your spider that will block and kill them. Seems good. Seems good. Artifact, modification, anti-flyer stuff, big butted blocker, makes an even bigger butted blocker. I like it. I'll pick this relatively highly in like the 5th-ish pick range, I think. Let's go 5th-ish pick. I think the card's pretty good. It's like Spider-Man. So this thing shoots webs, I guess. Anyways, YouTube, thank you very much for watching the set review. This is the last video of the set review. Tomorrow is the day that Kamigawa Neon Dynasty comes out on Arena. I will try to get a draft video up as quickly as possible after that happens, because Arena will probably be incredibly stable and work perfectly. But yeah, let me know anything you want to let me know. If you're excited about Kamigawa, what you think of cards, etc., in the comments down below. And I'll see y'all next time.